The San Jose Sharks have a major decision to make on draft day with numerous great options at the number 2 pick. We make the case for James Hagens today and why the San Jose Sharks should go out and select this guy. So you're not going to want to miss this episode of Sharks Digest. But before we dive into it, we just got to say we're on the road for 2,000 subscribers here before draft day. So if you want to stay up on the latest news around the Sharks heading into a busy offseason, make sure you're down below and hit that subscribe button. But like I said, as we all know, the San Jose Sharks are drafting at the number 2 overall selection in this upcoming draft. And the names that have been bounced around this last little while have been Michael Misa, who we did a video earlier on last week, Matthew Schaefer, and Porter Martone. But today, we look at James Hagens and why this guy may be left out of the conversation. And we get a report out of an elite prospects writer talking about why James Hagens should be in the conversation. This is what he had to say. He said, "It's Michael Misa, but I think people are forgetting just how good Hagens is. He's up there and could be even better." So this is a guy who has watched a lot of prospects, obviously through his work is what he does for a job. And he's saying that, obviously Misa's numbers look good. Schaefer is obviously the best person in the class, but James Hagens is a guy who is maybe sliding under the radar here in terms of how good of a player he actually is, and saying he could even be better is a crazy take because we know how good these top 2 players are, and kind of seeming to me that he is insinuating that he could go higher in this draft than maybe a lot of people did think. And if we just take a look at what he did in the NCAA this year, he did have 37 points through 37 games, most of them being assists. This guy is an elite playmaker. I believe was he 5'11" center, another center like Michael Misa, and he is just such a great playmaker. People talk about how good his vision is, how good his skating is. He has been an elite player for Boston College all season long, and I think if you talk to any of their fans, they know how good he is. And I know a lot of stuff I read online about James Hagens is maybe he got overshadowed a little bit by how good Ryan Leonard was this season, but he was a guy who was setting up Leonard and a lot of these goals, and we know how Leonard liked to get in front of the net, and Hagens would just feed him down there, and Leonard would feast down by the net. So these guys obviously played well together, and maybe it boosted Hagens' numbers a little bit, but he is just a tremendous player all around. I think he has a good all-around game. He's good defensive in his own end from what I've seen from scouts. He's also great on the rush, getting into the zone, finding an open skater. He looks really good, and a guy that could definitely, I think, potentially jump Michael Misa. I think just from stuff I've read, I know Misa is like an offensive powerhouse, but if the Sharks are more looking like for a two-way center, I think James Hagens is a guy that they could definitely go out and get. If we just take a look at what Bleacher Report is, reporting about his game, saying obviously being a point per game player in the NCAA isn't easy, and he obviously went out and do it. He's utilized it by using his fantastic skating ability, his high-end motor, and elite playmaking skills to set up his teammates. So we're looking at a guy here more like a Mitch Marner-esque player, I would say. A guy who's going to go out here, set up your players, create scoring chances for your team with his soft hands and great moves. Stuff I've seen from him and just highlight packages that I've delved into over these last couple hours while preparing this video. He looks good. He gets to the net with ease. He can blow by a defender with his skating. He can also get around defenders with his hands and his deking ability. This guy is a pure playmaker, but can also get it done on the back check, also get it done on the forecheck. He is very active with his stick, and it's so great to see. We didn't see his shooting skills as much. Obviously, they talked about Ryan Leonard in this article because he was setting up a lot of Leonard's goals, but the shooting ability is there. He had 11 goals on the season. From stuff I've seen online, just in-depth breakdowns on this player, he does have a great shot, and when he gets open, there's no doubt in my mind that he can put this puck in the top corner of the net. Moving on, they say is there. With that being said, we were being treated to an excellent viewing of his passing ability. Some scouts are saying he has one of the best visions in the entire draft. The way he just sees the ice and is able to thread passes through is unmatched, and he's definitely the most, I would say, the best playmaker in this draft. I think Michael Misa, he's a good playmaker and a good goal scorer. He's more of a two-way, and not a two-way forward, but a two-way offensive player. He can pass, he can shoot, he can get the job done anywhere. But when it comes to Hagens, he is more of a guy who is, he sees the ice like a chessboard, and he can pick players and know where the cuts are going to happen, where players are going to find open ice. And I think this is phenomenal, just to see how he sees the game and reads these passes. It is unreal. It's, maybe some would say like Mitch Marner-esque. I keep going back to that analogy, but it's like he has a third eye at times. And they also say Hagens is known, he knows how to set up a play so his teammates will find success. Thanks to his vision, he's also able to see the vision of the puck as well, so he can read those passing lanes well. And that's what I'm saying, he's breaking up a lot of play with an active stick, because he knows where defensemen are going to spring on the outlet passes, because he sees the ice in a different way from other players, and this what makes him stand out amongst the pack of these top 4 players in this year's draft. Is just the way he reads the game and sees the ice, and we know how good those players are. I mean, look at Sidney Crosby, for instance. This guy sees the ice differently. Connor McDavid sees the ice differently, and I think obviously those guys were clear number ones in their overall drafts, but I think the vision comparison here, when you're talking about Hagens and a guy like Crosby McDavid, matches up. They might not have the same scoring ability that those forwards, that those top guys did have, but he does have that same mentality, which you can't teach. You're born with that, and he does have it. And going on here, just looking at some potential upside on this guy, this chart says he's 28% to be a star player, 23% to be a first-line forward, and I think it's obviously his potential here, they're saying he's a possible star forward, so obviously it's not elite, potential to be a franchise player, but I think he definitely has the woodwork of being a great player, and definitely has the shell. He just needs to get that experience and just get a bit older. Maybe he gets a bit taller, get some muscle on. I think this guy could be a very solid two-way player in the NHL. Some comparisons that they did compare him to here, I thought were very interesting, like Marian Gaborik and Marian Hossa. Those guys were two great players. Obviously, when I was growing up watching hockey, they were probably some of the best playmakers in the league at that time, maybe underrated at that time. So hearing James Hagens' name up with guys like that, it is definitely a big boost for him. He has the playmaking ability. I think he is going to be a great player in this league. It is, a stretch to maybe take him over Michael Misa, but it is definitely something that we need to look into. I mean, if we look at this Sharks roster next year, like I said, they're deep through the center role, but we did see Will Smith on the right wing towards the end of the season, so maybe we see him move there permanently. We see Hagens come in on this third line and go to work, or maybe he goes back to the NCAA. That could be an option as well, and maybe he gets one more development year before coming over. But I do think that he is NHL ready, and I do think that it is worth to go out and take a shot on a guy like James Hagens at the draft. But we just made the case for James Hagens. Let's switch to making the case against, because we look at his weaknesses. This is what they had to say. Some scouts saying his decision-making can be questionable at times, saying he defers too often and he has a higher gear than he showed this season. So basically saying here, sometimes maybe he's given the puck away too much. Maybe he makes a bad decision by, maybe making a no-look pass that goes to the middle of the ice and stuff like this. And they say here that he has a higher gear than showed this season, which means he can click more. He can be a better player, but he just didn't get into that this year. So I think that's a good thing. I know it is a weakness, but I think it's a good thing that if he can get into a different gear, that he can be a better player. I think that is very interesting. And for your only weakness to be decision making. Yes, it is a tough one, but with experience and the right coaching and the right people around you, that can easily be solved. So I don't think that is a weakness. I think it's something that can definitely be solved once he makes it to the NHL, and it is very interesting. But if we keep going on here, they say here, he just hasn't shown the kind of putting it together. Basically saying here, the guys ahead of him have shown more than him, like Michael Misa, Porter Martone, Matthew Schaefer. They all show that they have complete games. But one thing that James Hagens hasn't shown is that he is fully ready to be into the NHL, which all these other guys ahead of him have been. I know a lot of mock drafts are putting him at 3 right now, so it isn't a stretch for the Sharks to take him at 2, but when you look at the guys ahead of him, like we've talked about, Michael Misa, the best offensive player in this draft, Matthew Schaefer, the best defenseman in this draft, there is no way that you take James Hagens over these two guys, in my opinion. The only way the Sharks take this guy is if they trade back in the draft. And do I see that happening? Yes, but I think if they trade back in the draft, they're looking more at a guy like Victor Eklund here, William Eklund's brother. So I think it's an interesting debate to talk about James Hagens, because I think he is a great player. I think the Islanders could definitely take him at 1, obviously being New York native Staten Island boy. He can definitely go to the Islanders. I could definitely see that happening. There's no doubt about it. But will the Sharks take a reach and go out and get Hagens? No, not when you have a guy like Michael Misa at your doorstep, ready to go and be that number 1 offensive guy right out of the draft, I think. I think he could easily come in, play third-line center on this team, and dominate. So, there is a case to be made, like I said at the beginning of this video, for James Hagens and how good of a player he actually is. But when it all comes down at the end of the day, I think you take Misa or Schaefer over this guy. But, hey, I wouldn't be mad if they took Hagens. I think he is going to be one of the best playmakers of this next generation. We just got to see him put his game together. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Are you going out and taking James Hagens? Are you sticking with the plan of Schaefer and Misa? Let me know down below if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. Means a lot to us here, seeing all your guys' support. But as always, I've been your host, Casey. We'll catch you in the next one.